Hi everyone, it's Blake again with North Winds Wilderness School. I have a huge announcement today. We've been alluding to this for several months, but now I can finally actually say it out loud. Welcome to the new home of North Winds Wilderness School. We have, due to the extreme generosity of one of our supporters, been able to acquire 40 acres here just south of Grantsburg, Wisconsin, that will now act as the home of our school. This is going to open up some very, very exciting possibilities for us, and I can't even begin to explain to you all how excited I am to get to know this place a lot better and to share a lot of this with you. It's going to be so much fun and so exciting. I just really wanted to take some time today and show you guys around, show you what we've got to work with here. And let's start right here. This is the only tar road in the area. This area is so rural and so remote that you can only get around by dirt road except for this one tar road. This that you're seeing here, which is directly adjacent to our property, is the St. Croix National Scenic Riverway. That dirt road right there is direct access to the St. Croix River. A half mile down that road is a canoe launch. This St. Croix National Scenic Riverway is roughly a half mile on either side of the St. Croix, east and west, for, hundreds of miles along the St. Croix River where it borders Minnesota and Wisconsin. This alone gives us access to thousands and thousands of acres of public land immediately across the street from us. And if you look this way, I'll walk you down and show you the southern border of our property, but our property borders to the south county land that's owned by the county and maintained for public use, that goes over 9 miles to the south and to the east from us, which I don't remember exactly how many acres it is, but it's something like 18,000. So our new property borders the St. Croix National Scenic Riverway to the west and Burnett County public land to the south, giving us direct access to over 30,000 acres of public land. Here's one of the foot trails into the property. And as you can see, we're coming into some pine rows. Let's get into the shadows a little bit so you can see it a little better. Excuse me. So you can see here, this is roughly 5 acres. It goes from here but this is the road pines, and while these are planted by people, these don't grow naturally in these rows like this. I kind of like it. It reminds me a lot of my childhood. We had a lot of row pines like this where I grew up. And because it's so cool, I'm thinking this might be the natural movement area of our training facility. Put some slack lines in here, some balance beams, some climbing ropes and climbing bars, maybe some nets for climbing under or crawling over, do some tree climbing. And I think that right over here is a good spot for what looks like to be about a 25 to 35-yard archery range. I think we can put 3 or 4 lanes in there. Then we can shoot both modern and traditional archery in this area, along with doing our movement training. Let's go see what else we can find. I'm now walking north along the road, which is the western boundary of the property. You can see some trees in here behind me. There's a few maples, some box elder. It's mostly oak and pine on the property. At one point, this whole place was logged off, just like all of Wisconsin and Minnesota. Now we're coming to what is currently the main entrance to the property. That tree right there is actually the northern boundary of our property. But if we turn here, you'll see what kind of looks like a road. And this is what we're currently calling the main entrance to North Winds Wilderness School. You'll understand why shortly. You can see we're going to go back here through some pines. We have found all sorts of wildlife sign here. We've found wolf tracks on the property, coyote tracks on the property. We found deer tracks, deer beds, deer scat, deer feeding sign. We found a live porcupine. We found fisher scat, bobcat scat. We found an owl pellet. We've seen tons of birds here. We've seen scarlet tanagers, American redstarts, rose-breasted grosbeaks. There are grouse here. There are turkeys here. That you see in the distance is our lavu. And you can see we are very much in the middle of nowhere here. But it's a pretty close walk to camp. And this is the view as you approach our main camp. Here's the view into the row pines from our main camp. And as you come around here, this opening here will be, I think, our main camp. This will be where we have people set up tents. This will be where we're hanging out when we're not in primitive camp or off doing something that's completely outside of a camp. You see this little stand of jack pines here. North of that, our property goes for 1/8 of a mile, but really we haven't had the chance to even go over there yet. We've been so busy exploring the front half of our property that we don't even know where the back half goes. This that you're looking at here is going to be the main trail that bisects our camp from the parking lot to the main camp. As you can see, I'll zoom in a little bit. There's quite a bit of debris on the road that we're going to need to get in here and clear out. So, we've just been going through the pines. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface yet on this particular piece of property. This place is beautiful and amazing. It's high rolling hill, oak savanna. There's jack pines and red pines. There's white pines. There's some birch. I don't think there's any swampy areas on the property, which, depending on your perspective, can be good or bad. I like to think of it as a good thing, because it means there's no part of this land that we can't use if we need. There's a ton of wildlife here, so much. I just saw a turkey up the road. I'll see if I can get a picture of him for you. That is a turkey that just walked out of the woods as I was standing here talking to you. Originally, when we bought this, our plan was to hunt here and to teach other people how to hunt here. But now that we're starting to get to know the land a little bit and we're trying to create a relationship with the land, we're thinking there's enough public land around us that maybe our little 40 can be a sanctuary and we'll hunt somewhere else. Now, regardless of which side of this argument you're on, please know we have not made a decision yet. It's just something we're thinking about. You know what? As a matter of fact, if you have an opinion on the subject, I'd like to hear it. Leave us a comment on Facebook or YouTube as to whether or not you think we should hunt on this property. Please keep in mind that hunting and eating meat is part of rewilding, and it's part of what I believe to be the natural human life way. All I'm saying is, I don't know if I want to hunt here. This land is opening up so many amazing possibilities for us. We've already done a foraging camp here. We're doing a berry camp here in July. We're doing a mindfulness and yoga retreat here in July and one in September. And we just got the land 2 weeks ago. I signed the papers. So already it's opening up so many new doors and many new opportunities. For those of you who like our shorter programs, 4 hours, maybe 1 day or whatever, don't worry, those aren't going away. Those are how we got started. They're how we met most of you, and we're not giving that up. We're going to continue doing our 1-day classes. We're going to keep doing all the signature classes that you've come to know from us. This is just going to open up so much more. For those of you who want more in-depth experience, we are going to start doing a resident program here on the land next year, probably in March. Likely you'll see us start advertising in October and November. We'll advertise through the winter, and then in March we'll have our first set of residents come out here. We don't know exactly what that is going to look like yet, but it'll be a multi-stage process. Most likely you'll start off in a modern tent with modern camping gear, and then we'll move you away from the tent but still with your gear. And eventually you'll end up either just off in the woods without a camp, or you'll end up in some sort of a primitive camp. We haven't decided that yet. We want to teach friction fire. We want to teach bow making. We want to teach hide tanning. We want to teach basket making. All of the skills that you would need in order to live a completely wild or feral lifestyle. If any of you have any input as to what you would like to see out of a resident program, this is another thing that please tell us what you're thinking, because we don't really know. It's, we've given it a lot of thought. We're also going to start doing more camps, more 3-day, 5-day, and 7-day camps, and these will be more varied. It'll be not just primitive skills and not just foraging, but it'll also be mindfulness. It'll be yoga. It'll be Tai Chi. We might do some martial arts stuff out here. The only limit to what we can do is our imagination and our respect for nature. We're not going to be cutting down a bunch of trees. We're not going to be making changes to the land. I think the only things we're going to build here are like an emergency rain shelter, maybe a small 2-bed bunkhouse, and then some sort of adventure-based, maybe survival camps or meditation places or places where you can just sit and participate in nature. There's definitely about 100,000 sit spots out here, so imagination is the only limitation. The other announcement I want to make, and this is also huge, is that we are now on Patreon. For those of you who don't know, Patreon is a service in which people who are creating something, who are doing something, or working on building something can reach out to their supporters and have the supporters make financial contributions to help these people build. It's a system of patronage which has existed in our world forever. In the Renaissance, the great painters all had patrons. They had people that were paying their bills or helping to support them so that they could create art. And even in the modern era, there are tons of examples of people who are living and creating while the people who support them are helping pay the bills. And that's really what Patreon is about. The world we're trying to create here, unfortunately, isn't cheap. you know, one of the things we want to do is we want to launch the iRewild podcast. That requires hardware, it requires software, it requires online contracts, and it requires a lot of time. I haven't made a full episode of the podcast yet. I've made several test episodes, and we're looking 8 to 12 hours at least to make a 30 to 45 minute episode. And the support that we're getting from our patrons is really what's making that possible. That is what is giving us the freedom to run this YouTube channel, to run the iRewild podcast, to start iRewild Wisconsin, which is another program we're working on. Once a month, our goal is to offer a 4 to 6 hour class for kids and families for completely free. We haven't started doing this yet. We can't afford to, honestly, right now. But what we're hoping to do is monthly we'll pick a topic, whether it be basket making or wood-fired pottery, or how to make a paintbrush completely from nature, or how to make earth-based pigments, or how to carve a spoon. Each month will be a different topic. And we'll pick a town in Wisconsin. We live in Siren, so that's probably where we'll start. Maybe Grantsburg or Amory would be good options. Maybe Ashland or Cable would be good options. And one day we'll go set up, we'll have this topic, we'll advertise, and whatever the topic is, it'll be completely free for whoever wants to come and participate. This is our way of spreading rewilding, of spreading primitive living skills, of spreading nature connection and mindfulness and awareness, and helping get this to people who maybe can't afford to participate in our paid or our more expensive programs. But these are all things that are going to come from our patrons, from the people who really support the work we're doing and want to get involved some way. And on our Patreon account, we have tiers that start as little as $1 a month. So if that's something you are interested in getting involved with, awesome. Thank you so much. If not, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring about this type of content. But getting back to the land here, I would really like to hear your ideas of what you think we should do. Should we build an office or a small home on the property? Should we leave it just the way it is? Should we adapt it for better habitat for deer or bears or whatever wildlife? This place is a dream come true for me and my dad. And it's very humbling to be sitting here right now knowing that we get to call this home. For those of you who know us personally, we are not physically moving where we live. I love our house. I love how hard we work to get it. This is the home of Northwinds Wilderness School. Also, we're currently calling it Evergreen Haven. If you have an idea for a better name, I'd love to hear it. I kind of like Evergreen Haven. I'm just not sure about the double V sound. I also want to tell you all, my face is the one you see here. I'm the one that's on camera. I'm the one that's in most of the pictures. I'm the voice that you hear. But this is not just me. Northwinds is not just me. My dad, without him, none of this would be possible. He does all of our logistics. He finds venues. He finds materials for the classes. He helps me teach. He taught me, I don't know, a third of the things I know, maybe half of the things I know. I don't know, some percentage. My wife does most of our client communication. If you've ever sent us an email and you got a reply, most likely that's from my wife. When you sign up for a class, the confirmation email you get isn't automatically drafted. My wife writes each and every single one of those. And then my daughter, she inspires me to be a better person every day. She inspires me to get more involved in nature every day and to really become the best version of myself that I can for her. So this is far from a me thing. This is very much an us thing. And please don't let me forget Atreyu. Atreyu Started off as a client, then he became an apprentice. Now he's our assistant instructor. He has proven invaluable. He's a great writer. He's a great teacher. He's a great communicator. He has a great personal presence. So really, we're creating a family here, and we're creating a community here. And we want you all to be part of that community and potentially part of the family someday. So I guess what I'm saying is thank you all for all of your support. Now, let's get back to looking at the land. I've now cut through the pines around the obstacles in the road. Obviously not all of them. And we're now on the main path that cuts right through the middle of our property from north to south, almost exactly in the middle, which means there's 1/8 of a mile on each side of me between the road and the property line. As you can see, we have tons of blackberry, tons of raspberry. Do you recognize these? These are hazelnuts, and they are everywhere. The wealth of natural resources on this property is truly, truly overwhelming, both in terms of plant foods, animal foods, materials for building, materials for bushcrafting, and also in terms of just biodiversity and beauty. I don't know if you're seeing this place in the same way that I am. But there's a lot going on here. I'm hoping to get you all out here to see this place in real life. Check this out. Anyone recognize this? These are all wild blueberries. Let me back this up. All wild blueberries. All wild blueberries. And this is just one of the several wild blueberry patches on the property. Oh, hey, look. A little stand of wild violets. Not only are these edible, but they're delicious. Let's just keep heading down this here trail. A little oak savanna hill here. It's a great deer habitat. Hey, look at that. That is definitely from today. And it looks like there were several animals that came through. Let's continue down the trail. Again, 1/8 of a mile that way is all ours. But we haven't even been over there yet. Look, more blueberries. I feel like the amount of community we're going to be able to build and hold space for on this property is really powerful. And I really think that we can make some positive change in a lot of people's lives through the use of this amazing place. Oh, everything is turning green here so fast. The first time I was here, there was 3 feet of snow on the ground. The second time I was here, there were about 4 feet of snow on the ground. By like the 4th time I was here, the snow was all gone, but everything was just brown in every direction. Now, look how green and beautiful everything is. I did mention that we taught a foraging class here. This place wasn't nearly this green during that weekend. It was very wet that weekend, but we had a lot of fun. I think we had 8 campers. All right, here we are approaching the southeast corner of the property. You see there's another small stand of these row pines, which again, even though they're not natural, I really like them. And then this little field right here, we're thinking maybe this will be our primitive camp. Build like a couple of wiki-ups, maybe a pit house. But I don't know. We haven't decided that for sure yet. It's just a thought. For those of you who may not have seen it before, this is blue giant hyssop. It's a member of the mint family. You can see opposite paired leaves, squarish stem, and very, very delicious. It tastes like anise or black licorice. So good. So that just about completes it for today. Don't worry, there'll be lots of more opportunities for you guys to share this with me. I think we're going to be spending a lot of time out here, and I would really hope that some of you would get to come out here and see it too. Like I said, this is really, I think, a special place, and I'm honored and humbled to be a part of it. So thank you for watching. If you have any opinions about what you'd like to see on the land, ideas for camps or classes, or just feelings about this video, please leave us a comment. If this is something you think you can get behind or get excited about, find a friend to share this with. Otherwise, I'm Blake with North Winds Wilderness School. Thank you very much. Have a great day.